Oh, hello, and welcome to Aldente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight, for the end of Anime 2024, we bring you Agaribito.
Mr. Rabito.
I was like earlier, I was like doing like Agaribito, Mr. Robito.
Yeah, me too. I had that on loop while I was reading this. It didn't taint my review of it at all.
I'm sure not. Yeah, definitely didn't like sour the creepiness of the.
No. Never.
But yeah, as you may have noticed, audience, we are down Mikey, but he told us to keep going ahead of him, so we are continuing on. And yeah, we are covering Agaribito. Basically, an urban legend in Japan about wild people. I suppose we should start off with our initial recommendations. I'm going to partially recommend this.
How negative of you. Supposed to be the Mikey surrogate here. Because I'll recommend it.
I mean, there's a few things that I've got notes on.
You have to justify yourself.
Yeah. I got a few things that that kind of bugged me about the actual telling of the creepypasta, but we'll get into that.
Okay, fair.
It's not a perfect story, but we'll get into it.
Well, there's only one story that's perfect, and we all know that.
Yeah, who was phone?
Mm-hmm.
I should have yeah, Sonic.exe.
How dare you? Immediately just quit.
It's like gamer.
You've slighted me.
Gamer will remember this.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyways,
the duel will be set for noon tomorrow.
Yeah. At the crack of noon.
Yeah. The butt crack of noon.
Why are we're really procrastinating on this one?
It's almost like we're down someone, so we need to fill air a little bit to have it be the same amount. I don't know, man.
I've got a lot of notes. I got 6 pages of notes, man.
Okay, never mind. We're good then.
Yeah. But yeah, so Agaribito, it was originally posted on 2chan by an anonymous poster. But we read it from a website called Japan Makes Me Scared. Same, brother.
Awesome. Same. URL.
Yeah.
And also same. Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah. And yeah, they've got it's basically they're sort of like a blog / podcast, because they have their own podcast that retells, where I guess they narrate the stories and stuff like that. And they also seem to translate the stories from the 2chan material.
Blogcast.
So, yeah, they're a blogcast. So you can check out their podcast. I didn't actually listen to their podcast. I just read the story and and read the material that they provided on the topic of Agaribito. So
I wanted to, because they said that they straight up referenced the sound effect and replicated it.
Oh, did you actually listen to it then?
No, I wanted to. I just didn't because I ran out of time.
Yeah, I tried figuring out how to say that the sound effect where it's NNNGH or it's yeah, and we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We really are.
Yeah, so that's where we read it. You can go check it out at Japan Makes Me Scared. You can also generally just look up Agaribito urban legend, and you'll usually find about the same type of story. But for the story that we read, it was on Japan Makes Me Scared. So, and I suppose we should start with the rundown. So, the story that was translated is from 2chan by a young man who's anonymously posting it. This story that was posted did spark discussion and popularize the idea of Agaribito, or what are essentially naked wild people who have lost their humanity or their civilized humanity in the deep mountain forests of Japan, and now seem to wander around and try to assimilate those they encounter. They're often described as expressionless, except for a kind of a fake smile, just ever present on their face, and they just kind of stand out. If you encounter one, you're just supposed to run away, because they will attack you and possibly try to indoctrinate you into their way. Looking up a little bit deeper, Agaribito, loosely translated, means ascended person, because it's believed that like they have sort of ascended to like they become one with the deep true nature, like wildlife and such. And yeah, so the story by Nair, because we don't get their name, although the people over at Japan Makes Me Scared, they have a podcast, like we said, and apparently they used I as the name for the character. But at no point in the actual like written story that we get is there like do we get a reference to the character's name. So
Yeah, I was
Nair
about to bring
Ator.
that up. That's never mentioned.
Yeah. So Nair Ator is going to be our name.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So Nair, when they were in high school, they went to their grandma's house in the mountains in rural Japan. I'm getting deja vu all over again.
Really. Also, I'm gonna let you finish, but
Yeah.
it's good that we're calling him Nair, because otherwise you'd be saying, I was over here
Yeah.
doing this. I went and did this. It's like, you didn't do this. The character did this.
Yeah. Although, you know what, they probably used I because like it was probably done in like first person in their podcast reading.
Oh, maybe.
I'm speculating because I haven't listened to that podcast yet. So.
Yeah, but also a lot of the Japanese creepypastas we read, they take the person's name and just do the first initial.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, which doesn't get confusing at all sometimes.
No, of course not.
No.
But like when we're getting into a random note in
Rundown.
In your rundown that I don't even actually have a note for, but like in that situation where like you're truncating someone's name for anonymity or whatever, why not change it to a letter that is convenient and not confusing to say?
Yeah.
Like I is confusing and C.
Or like even like have the honorific like I-chan or I-kun. Like if it's a boy or a girl, like that even that works because like
for sure.
Yeah.
Because it separates it from the other words that sound exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I hate the English language.
Yeah.
Please continue.
You hate language so much, you just want to like go into the woods and give up your civilized humanity.
I mean, kind of.
And just strip down and just like be one with nature.
Their language is super easy. You just say.
They are the. Oh my god! They are the. Okay, we'll get back. I'll touch back on this in a second.
Okay.
In my actual thoughts. Okay, moving on to the actual. Like, we digress. Back to the rundown. Nair's gone to his grandma's house in the mountains, and they're going. He's going lure fishing. I guess it's like a type of like fly fishing because like he's like casting it like really like he's casting the lure like really far and high. And when after some time fishing, his favorite lure gets like cast but like into the woods across the river. So he has to go across and go look for it. And that's where where Nair encounters a naked person just kind of like standing there in the woods smiling at him while he's looking for the lure. And at first he just kind of like shrugs it off because like apparently skinny dipping is a known activity by the river here. But then the guy starts acting very strange. He goes to pick up a rock all the time while smiling at Nair and like lobs it at his head. Yeah, and then lobs it at his head. And then he begins emitting this like this strange like sound like it's like NNGH as it's spelled. And that's when like other voices, other people, naked people start popping up in the woods around Nair, and that's when Nair just nopes the fuck out of there and runs back to Grandma. And Grandma seems to be in the know of this situation and like warns him, it's like, like those are the Agaribito. If you encounter one, just run away. I had an encounter when I was very young as well. And then we get kind of her side of the story. Like we get her story shortly after. Because it was during the end of World War II, and the village that Grandma lived in had an influx of evacuated children from like the big cities, and they weren't treated the best. Like they were I guess they were given shelter and stuff of that, but they weren't like they were starting to like become malnourished because they didn't give them enough food, and so some of the kids escaped and ran into the woods. Grandma was with a search party looking for them that night, but Grandma separated to find something to eat, and that's when she spotted a group of naked adults leading the children into the woods, like deeper into the woods. Grandma followed the group to see where they were going, and it's here that she saw the group was meeting with some large black mass, like a figure, some kind of like dark figure. When it got up, it was some kind of humanoid figure, but it was like levitating off the ground, almost like a puppet. And it seemed like the group and this thing were preparing the kids for some kind of ritual or something. Grandma wanted to do something to help, but was utterly terrified. And then the black masked creature like turned to her and like seemingly like saw her. And that's when Grandma passed out, assumingly escaped. Though the story just kind of ends at this point. And then that's basically the story of Agaribito, and the website that we read it on does also provide some extended information about Agaribito and like the urban legend, and even some speculation of as to like where maybe it came, where the legend may have came from, like other like reasons for why, like what might have inspired it. So yeah, that's basically what we read on about Agaribito on JapanMakesMeScared.com. So
Yes.
Finn. But now I suppose we should move on to
Everyone tolerates the Grammar Inquisitions!
at this point. So I've only gotten like one section like from the actual story, because I realized like half of the jotted, like sort of half of the sections of this article or this blog bit were the actual story, and the rest was like just kind of speculation on the part of the people who translated it. But for the actual story, I only had one for the part where it's literally titled NNNGH, and it's actually the sound that they make. So this is my grammar inquisition for that. I could hear the same ning ning voices, not from a single person, but many. So I feel like, again, no, this is all obviously translated, but I feel like that should have actually been then I could hear the same voices. And then the next thing I had here was, that's the sound, I lost it. So again, I know there's a translation barrier or borderline. I'll go. But is this the sound, like the is that Nair making that, or is it the naked folk? Because it just kind of like that's literally like how the line goes. It's just like in quotes like AHHHHHH and comma or end quotation, and then that's the sound, I lost it. So it's like, shouldn't it be like that was the sound, or like that's when I lost it, or something like that, or like that's the sound I made when I lost it?
Yeah, I had this under notes.
Yeah.
I was so confused because I didn't know if it was like, if it was basically saying, "Oh, I see. The branches, the breaking sound that I was hearing before was something stepping on them."
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah.
I thought like maybe that was it. Them going, that's what it is. But then it's like, duh, because they already figured that out.
Yeah.
But the other option was what you're basically saying, where it's basically saying, insert sound of me screaming here, as that sound caused me to lose it and run.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that could have been like a little bit better, like contextualized for the English. Though maybe this is just like, this might have been my part of like a direct translation. So who knows?
Yeah.
But that's really all I have for grammar inquisition for the story. It's just that one spot in the third chapter, I guess, because the way the story is presented in or on the website, it's cut up into basically like 5 chapters. The first 3 are
Drop-down menus, yeah.
they're drop down menus, and the first 3 are basically Nair's encounter, and then the last two are Grandma's encounter. So
I really like that orientation, by the way,
yeah.
because you can just like when you finish reading it, just close it up, do the next one. Like,
Well, yeah, and you don't even
and
have
there's
to
a whole bunch of scrolling.
Yeah, but then you don't even have to close it up sometimes because, like, I think if you click on one and then you go down to the next one, it automatically closes the first one and brings up the second one.
Oh my god, you're right.
Were you doing it? I guess you were doing it the other way.
Yeah, I was doing it manually. That's awesome, though.
Yeah, but
That's slick.
yeah. Do you have anything for Grammar Inquisition, gamer?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my first one is not in chapter 1, but in chapter 2. I was doing the lure fishing, which was popular at the time, at a nearby mountain stream from my grandma's house. When I was visiting my grandmother's house, there was nothing else to do but fish, so I was bored. So, firstly, lovely day for fishing, ain't it?
Wow.
For some connective tissues time to a game that I just found out is coming out soon.
Yeah, and again, we're both fans of Viva La Dirt League, and their
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I found out about that 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah, like literally yesterday, I think. Actually,
Yeah, and now I have to do a fishing creepypasta. Like,
yeah, or a story
weird.
that involves fishing creepypastas. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Secondly, I feel like the wording should be I was doing lure fishing, not I was doing the lure fishing.
Yeah.
It sounds strange to me.
Yeah, again, I feel like that's probably the translation, but I get it. Like for your side.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm suggesting a way that is more naturally read for English-speaking audiences.
Yes.
Because realistically, if it's just going to be a translation issue every time, then I might as well not do grammar.
It's the way the narrator translated directly from their home language.
Either way. Thirdly, grandmother's house being said back to back is a bit repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
So flipping around and rewording the sentences, I think, makes this read better. And the way I did it is like this. When I was visiting my grandmother's house, there was nothing to do, so I was bored. All I could do was some lure fishing, which was popular at the time at a nearby mountain stream.
Yeah.
There's no repetitive nature, and it kind of flows better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then my next one. So I threw my favorite skeleton G, which is the fake part that looks like a small fish and is attached to the tip of the lure. Mm-hmm. So I ain't no fisherman, but shouldn't it be it's attached to the hook? Because the fake part that looks like the fish is the lure.
Hang on.
The lure is the thing that looks like a fish, and it's attached to the hook.
Lure. Yeah, because I have done some fishing in my day. I may be like I was a novice fisherman at one point. I got my license.
Nice.
It's a couple of years expired, but
not nice.
And actually, I did look up skeleton G lures because they are.
I had to fight to find that.
But like I got the gist of it, like just from like a simple Google image, because it's like basically like it's a fish part on like a lure. You're right.
It's a soft, rubbery. It's a lure that's made of like soft, rubbery material, and the skeleton part is because the center of it is skeletonized, so it has more room to flop around.
Yeah.
So it looks like a rib cage.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you are right. Like it probably should be like attached to the tip of, or attached to the hook. I guess maybe like they're counting the lure, like the tip of the lure, like the lure itself here is like the part that's like attached to the hook. Which would make sense because it's like basically like as if like the little fish like bit the lure part.
But, well, they go to bite that.
Yeah.
Sometimes the hook is further back in, so they actually bite the end of it, and then the hook gets them at the end.
Yeah.
Either way, long story short, I feel like it should read. So I threw my favorite skeleton G lure. Straight up say it's a lure because that is the lure, which is the fake part that looks like a small fish and is attached to the hook.
Yeah.
That being said, all this being said, this is written by a character who may or may not know or care a whole lot about the technical jargon of fishing, since he's in grade 9 and he's only doing fishing because there's nothing else to do. So technically, using the wrong wording might be sort of in character in a way.
I would say yes and no, because the character, technically, this narrator posted this when they were an adult, because they're going back and telling the story from when they were a kid.
Well, yes, but if you're, as a kid, if you didn't really give a shit about fishing, and you just did it because you had nothing better to do, and then you grew up and had your life and did your life and didn't really care about fishing because you never did it because you had a life and you never learned more, then you would still not know.
I suppose. I don't know. They seem to really cherish this lure though, because it was like
Yes.
like 2,000 yen versus they
Yeah.
only get like they go into like how their allowance was like 1,000 yen a month, and like the lure itself was like 2,000 yen, so that was like treasure to them.
Yes. So yeah, my whole idea about him the character being not knowledgeable about this kind of had a whole shot in it by that at the end. So I don't know.
Fair.
And then chapter 3. This is just one where it's like, I don't know if it's the correct word or not, because
Okay.
I looked it up and I don't know.
I think I know which one you're talking about, because I actually put this. I may have put this in my actual thoughts, but continue.
Okay, well then, when I looked at that person's face,
Mhm.
his eyes had no hegemony at all, or rather, they were glazed over, and I was very scared, just like this.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if hegemony is the right word, because like I couldn't find a definition that suits it, because it just says influence or authority over others, or influence by a dominant group.
Yeah. So
Maybe it's like
hegemony,
he doesn't have domination over his own body. Maybe, I don't know.
I think honestly, I think that's probably what it was going for. Yeah, because I also looked it up and like I was like, I know this is translated, but like that's an interesting use of the word hegemony, which like as far as I had known, it was really only used for like to describe like the like a national power or like a national power structure or like a geopolitical like thing, like the the hegemony is a term that you'd use like kind of in the same way as like a coalition or like the government of a nation or the empire of something. It's basically like a dominating leadership, like it's a dominating like governmental force.
God, is it basically saying that like these beings are voteless?
You're
To quote
right.
Helldivers?
Yeah. Again, more connective tissues time, but yeah.
Oh my God, it's voteless.
But yeah, like basically, like I think you actually nailed it on the head though for what like why they used this word. Though I don't think they used it correctly. Because yeah, hegemony literally means like dominance or something along the lines of like dominance or leadership. So yeah, they didn't have their face or their eyes showed that like they didn't have like any kind of like self-governance, like they were being controlled by something or possessed.
They didn't have any free thought, sort of thing.
Yeah, because then it goes into like, oh yeah, or rather they were glazed over. And I was very scared, just like this. And then they even have like they use like some symbols on like because it's a message board that this is getting posted on with 2chan. So I like that they actually used like they use the pointy brackets. I don't know what those are called.
The technical term is pointy brackets, actually.
Oh, is it really?
I don't know.
yeah, pointy brackets.
It is, though.
Yeah, pointy brackets on either side, and then like in the middle, there's like a dot, to show like eyes just staring out.
It's actually very effective, surprisingly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, like I think that's basic. I think you nailed it. It's like they tried to use that word to describe like somebody like being possessed or like not being of their faculties, kind of thing.
Yeah, they're not thinking right, or not thinking as a normal person would.
Yeah.
Okay. And then my next one, we're back to the Skeleton G for the third time here.
Yeah. Skeleton G was also the name of my high school rap name.
Oh yeah, fair.
Skeleton G.
Yeah. So yeah, this is after they start ganging up on him. And he's looking around for his lure, like he sees something shiny.
Yep.
And it says, "It was my Skeleton G. I traced the lure's line to the river and went home soaking wet."
Yeah.
So, you have a problem with this?
I have it in my actual thoughts.
Okay. Regardless,
Yeah,
my problem here is with the wording of lure's line, because like referring to it as the lure's line as plainly as it is, it could lead people, me included, to at first assume that the lure was still attached to the fishing rod the whole time. But then, like, no, like the second thought that came through my head was like, no, it went flying, so the line broke. So this is the broken part of the line that's attached to the lure still. So it should read, "It was my Skeleton G. I traced the lure's broken line to the river and went home
That
soaking
would have
wet.
been so much better because that's my comment. It was like the way it's described is like it was my skeleton G. I traced the lure's line to the river and went home soaking wet. Meanwhile, beforehand, he spent like an hour in the woods looking for his lure. And I was like, wait, if the lure was still attached to the goddamn line, how did you lose it?
Yeah, no.
Why did you spend nearly an hour trying to trace it? I didn't realize we were in Derplin Prefecture, Japan.
If only. But no, I think it's because the line snapped.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot more sense, and that makes a lot more sense, honestly.
Okay, good. I'm glad I helped.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we have more 4 no, and I got one at 5.
Yep.
In regards to the ending,
Mm-hmm.
it says, then she felt the black mass wander over and look at her, and Grandma seemed to pass out as it was. And then it says, in my head, the eyes of Agaribito, whom I had seen so long ago, were vividly visible. They should look like these, and it shows the eyes again.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the story. I personally don't really feel that the repetition of the eyes and the callback to Nair's past is necessary here. It kind of just muddies the ending. Personally, I would just go without it, with just a short couple of sentences after explaining how Grandma was found and taken back to the village, and some clarification that the shadow creature didn't convert her, or did she?
Oh, and that's when Grandma just like starts like taking her clothes off and just staring at her grandson.
Yeah.
Like in that creepy glaring way. It's like, oh no, Grandma's like, she was a sleeper agent this whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I was a little confused by the ending because like it just like Grandma's story just ends and suddenly we get some notes that I assumed were probably like from Nair again. But it's like obviously she did get away in order to have kids and then grandkids and then tell Nair this story about it. But it's weird that the story just ends with this without giving us a proper conclusion to her story.
Yeah.
Also, sorry.
Go ahead. No.
Also, with regards to the so we're kind of like I've been like sharing my actual thoughts a little bit with this, but I guess it was also in your Grammar Inquisition. But also with her like just like seeing the black mass like wander toward her and then she passes out. Classic move, passing out. But then. And then, like, I guess, like, waking up with a popsicle stick in her mouth and escaping.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, there's no problem. Like, did Grandma wake up to the search party? Or, like, did she wake up, like, seconds later and everybody was gone? Like, even, like, the creature and the people? Like, did they just leave her alone? Like, it just sort of ends without us getting a proper conclusion to Grandma.
I'm going to assume what happened was she passed out when the creature was over her. And then maybe like the creature started taking her or something, but then there was a rustling in the woods as the search party came and found her.
Yeah.
I would assume it's something along those lines.
I just kind of wish that was mentioned.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other way to look at it is the end of this might be, it says like she felt the black mass wander over, blah, blah, blah. And it says in my head, it might be referring to Grandma saying that in Grandma's head, the eyes of the Agaribito, whom she had seen so long ago, were still vividly visible. And here, give me a piece of paper. They should look like this. And then she draws it, and it's just the same way that he saw it. Yeah. That might be what it's meaning to say.
Yeah.
But the tense and like orientation switch makes it seem like it's switching to Nair talking about it, even though I don't think it's meant to.
Yeah, especially since like it's like the one line that says like then she felt the black mass, blah blah blah, and then the next line is in my head the eyes of Agaribito, whom I had seen so long ago were very vividly visible. So it almost sounds like that is supposed to be like Nair kind of concluding his post for like Reddit and so, or for 2chan, but I almost feel like that should be like rewritten to be like still part of Grandma's thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you switch that over to Grandma and have the last part say like, she said that the eyes looked like this as well, or something like that. So, like, 100% it's the same encounter.
Yeah.
But that's the end of my grammar.
All right. So then I suppose we'll move on to actual thoughts. So again, going to chapter 1, those who crossed the borderline got this line here, or this quote here. You guys go to the mountains and feel liberated, don't you? You feel refreshed, right? That's because you're about to cross a kind of borderline. People who are constantly protected by towns, villages, and other human-made structures tend to be more open. That means you're off the hook, right? No matter how refreshing it is, you don't do stretching and deep breathing in the middle of town, do you? Mountains with rubbish are still okay. If there are man-made objects, people can manage to stay on this side, but not with 100% nature. It makes people go crazy or revert to being animals. So as I was like reading this part, like this is the very beginning of the story, and like with this part at the beginning, it brought to mind an idea that that pops into my head every so often, about how our like cities and towns and even like subdivisions and like little urban population centers in like the woods and like in the country are just islands of urban civilization amidst a sea of green wilderness. Like I always get this like kind of impression, like for some reason, like, or at least I used to when I was like like maybe like about a decade or so ago, like when things were a little bit more rural, around our parts of the world, of just
We
like,
basically still do live surrounded by forest.
yeah, mind you, like more recently those islands are expanding a little bit more and more and connecting a little bit easier. But like I mean, yeah, I even say that, but like a couple of weeks ago I had a situation where I drove over to a friend's house that was like about an hour, about a half hour, 40 minutes away, up by the lake, like by like Georgian Bay area. And then on the drive home, it was like completely dark because I was having to take like the like kind of the rural highway and then like some country roads to get back to home. Yeah, to take me home. And I actually had a very creepy situation where I was like on this farm road basically we're trying to reconnect between two highways. And like this stretch of farmland, like farmland on one side and like woods on the other, and there was like one driveway on the wooded side that had like a light post over top of it. And as I drove past, there was a fucking person or like a mannequin on a rocking chair directly in the middle of the driveway underneath that light post. The only light in like a few in several in a kilometer around. And
so what happened right there?
Yeah, and I just remember like this unnerving feeling of like when I realized what I just seen, and then I immediately started looking around the ditches around where I was driving to see if there was like people lying in wait to try and like set a trap. Like it was like that guy was like that guy might have been like some kind of like spotter or something. But yeah, like so like I guess that still is a thing. Like again, like our like, but then I get to home, like get to the safety of like our subdivision, and it's just like, yeah, like you're safe. Like it's where people are, it's where our buildings are, but like if you look at it from a bird's eye view, it's just this little like pocket of lights amidst a sea of darkness at night. And that's how it was even when I first moved up here about 20 years back. Like I grew up in the big city, down Toronto, and my parents found our subdivision when my dad got lost on the back roads. Yeah, he saw like where we lived and like fell in love with it, and then we moved up here. And my mom actually, I remember my mom like brought us out to like the back old end of the subdivision where there weren't many lights, and turned off all the lights of our car, like turned off the car and everything, and just showed us how dark it was because we were so
Light
used
pollution.
to we were so used to the light pollution because hell, we lived like a couple of blocks away from the airport down Toronto area. So
Damn.
yeah, so it was like so dark and quiet. And then like 20 years later, like it's still kind of like that. Like there's just this like pocket of lights amidst a sea of dark green because of all the woods around us. So yeah, like this story started kind of giving me those vibes of that idea that pops into my head every so often about like how our civilization and like how our urban centers are really just like pockets surrounded by by wilderness. Even if like more recently, like it's starting to become like more and more like we're starting to fight back or like inadvertently fight back against nature.
Yeah. At some point, eventually, this will be a Star Wars like city planet. I'm sure.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure like our area, like the north, like where we live, is going to become like part of like the greater Toronto area. Like just the greater Toronto sprawl is going to be real.
Yes.
Um,
Nice plug to our Shadowrun campaign on our sister podcast, One Last Die.
yeah. And actually, again, like to kind of tie this back again, like we, again, last week, me and my folks were driving back from like a cousin's birthday party, and we had to drive where they live now. We have to drive like through some old like rural parts, or they used to be rural, back like again, like 20, 30 years ago when we first started going there. And then like we drove back again, like 10 years later, like to this location, and there's so much more like there's so many more homes and subdivisions and neighborhoods popping up in what used to be like countryside, farmland, and forest. So, yeah. But also, yeah. So yeah. To the point of like the kind of the philosophy of the story of like the borderline, which is like sort of an idea of like humans are only civilized because they're like they're around civilization, but as soon as they go deep into the woods, they cross a border. They cross a line that kind of like puts them into isolation and makes them like go feral, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, to that point,
to become feral and cannot be reintroduced into society.
Yeah, exactly. But also to that point, like it was also starting to give me like some Lord of the Flies vibes, because like that story is about a bus full of kids who get lost on a. I might be just repeating like the Simpsons version of it because I actually don't think I've read the actual story, but I've known enough about the story. That's like a bunch of kids who are like trapped on an island and they don't know if they're going to be rescued or not, and they basically develop like they kind of devolve and they have to like kind of reform their own little like civilization and such, or their own like it's sort of like the kids go feral, or like they become very primitive very quickly.
Mm.
But yeah. So yeah, these kind of topics were already like in my mind, like kind of swimming around as I started reading this story. But I will move on to the next quote and comments I have.
Okay.
Agaribito is not like this kind of person. So this is in reference like how like people become violent and stuff like that. And then it goes into like Agaribito is not this kind of person. They are more calm. Maybe that's because it's more like the human world to the natural one, I suppose. I guess this is a grammar acquisition.
Yeah, I read over it a couple of times. Like I got it.
Yeah,
but you're right. I should have said something about it.
So like maybe that's because it's more like they're from the human world, or it's more like
maybe that's because it's more like okay. Agaribito is not like this kind of person. They are more calm. Maybe that's because they are more like maybe it's because they are more like those from the human world than the natural one.
I don't know, because it seems like it's trying to say that Agaribito is not like the violent people. They're calm because it's like they're part of they're more of the natural world than the human world, I suppose. Yeah. But the way it's saying is like it's more like they're from the human world than to the natural one. Or it's almost like
Previously it says Grandma says that the city people are more violent.
Yeah.
Agaribito are not.
Yeah,
they're more calm.
Maybe that's
because they're
not from it's more like they're not from the human world, but the natural one.
They're not from the natural world. They go to the natural world. I think it's like they're more calm because they've accepted the natural world, but they still have some aggression to them because they're from the human world, hence picking up a rock and throwing it at an air. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. But regardless, like the point is like it's trying to get is like the Agaribito aren't like violent or like they want to kill themselves, like, or stressed. They're not stressed out. They're not violent. They seem to be very placid, very happy. So the fact that they, try to like grab a rock and murder somebody,
That I didn't get.
I
Why?
I honestly like. I almost thought it was like, oh, like maybe that's how they like try to like they try to like they tried to knock him out so that they could like bring him into the fold, like basically a caveman lobotomy.
Or it's just meant to be like, hey, look, a distraction, and then
yeah,
girl.
honestly that could be it, because like suddenly like suddenly more Agaribito showed up, or
Yeah.
Agarikin, or people. But back to the actual point of like why I use this quote here. Yeah, so this whole idea, like it brings to mind how people love to get away from the big city and like get away from the stress of like modern civilization, and have a yearning to go camping and hiking and like get in touch with nature. And like not everyone obviously, but like a lot of people like to do that. Like hell, like there's whole industries around where we live that is literally like the cottage country like aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like the rustic aesthetic and stuff that. And it seems like this is like the horror version of going out to touch grass in a way.
Yeah, 100%.
Like they touched grass too long, they became one with the grass.
This is the horror version of Nature Walk.
Oh my god, yeah. That's
pretty neat.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Oh my god, that's what they're saying. Like that's pretty neat.
For those that don't know, look up Nature Walk on YouTube. You will not be disappointed.
Please do. Yeah. And yeah, like it's interesting because like in the days of in this day and age, like in our modern day, we yearn to leave the hectic modern comforts and to rough it out in like the remote places outside of towns and cities. Like we a lot of us yearn for like that simpler life. Yet more than like a century, not like 150 years ago, that leisure idea seemed less common or something less leisurely. And it was more of a big decision to strike out and on your own into the wilderness, because the wilderness was like a lot more of an unknown factor or variable. And like, if you go out there, like you better be prepared to try and survive. It was like a lot harsher. But like nowadays, like we live in our little comfort bubbles of cities, but we get stressed out from all that stuff. So we yearn to go out into the country, into the woods, and go camping and so for like a weekend to kind of recharge. So it's interesting. This story sort of like proposes like the extreme of that and like kind of the horror angle of that.
Taken to a high enough extreme becomes horror.
Yeah. And especially with the whole like idea of like crossing a borderline, like if people are and like this does happen, like if people are like their plane crashes and they survive out in the middle of the woods, and there's like they're out there, like they're out in the green, out in the gray, whatever you want to call it, like out beyond human civilization. That's so far out there that like they need to search parties basically need to come in via planes or what have you as well to try and look for you. People are isolated like that way, and like they stay out there that long. There is sort of this situation where like you become very isolated. You become kind of you do what you have to survive. So like all those urban like kind of comforts and like mentalities start disintegrating in order to survive. So it again, like it's like, yeah, we romanticize like the simpler lifestyle of living out in the woods and stuff like that. And I like that this urban legend or this creepypasta kind of paints a warning of the extremes of that idea, especially with like, again, getting so isolated that you become like a wild person. Even with like the whole like situation of like shedding off your clothes, like just going completely commando. Like you become fully an animal at that point. But I'll move on to the next thing I have, which is in I believe this is chapter 2, the encounter on the other side. Or actually, Gamer, do you have anything more for the first chapter, or are we just gonna do this like me and then you kind of thing?
We can do it chapter by chapter.
Okay.
What do I have for chapter 1? Oh yeah. Actually, no, I don't. That's chapter 2. Hang on.
Okay.
Hang on.
Yeah, chapter 2 is encounter with on the other side. So.
Okay, I got this. If you get lost or something, the worst thing that can happen is you subconsciously think that help might not come and you might die. That's a natural thing as an animal, but that's not a usual feeling as a human being. Honestly, I feel like that's a very natural thing for a human to feel in that situation, unless I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's kind of like what I was saying earlier. Like, that is a very natural like thing because, like, again, like we're so used to like the comfort, and then like the first our if we are in that situation where we're isolated, we're trapped in the woods or lost in the woods. Yeah, one of our first concerns, I think, is like that we're gonna die.
It says the opposite for some reason. And then furthermore, it says you die at this point. Like immediately as soon as it says that, it says you die at this point. That's actually the best case scenario. So like it's basically saying the moment you start to worry that no one will come for you, you instantly die.
Or
in this situation.
Or because this is a translation, maybe this is like maybe it should actually be interpreted of like the moment you start thinking of that, like you're gonna die, like you're starting to you will die because you're giving up hope.
Maybe, yeah.
And I kind of see it because like again, like it says like, oh, like at that point, like death is like the worst case is like the best case scenario. It's like, I mean, yeah, like this story is kind of like, yeah, like death is the best case scenario because otherwise you become this like thing that like has lost their humanity and gone like full on animal. So like
person also be dead though in that situation if they don't have any control over the motor functions, or are they just in the back seat being puppeted at that point?
I think that's how I interpreted that. Yeah, like they basically like they're in there somewhere, or like a part of them maybe's left, but like their body's just like going into autonomous like kind of animal instinct kind of look. Yeah.
Rough way to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got for chapter 1.
Okay. Then on to chapter 2, the encounter on the other side. So this is my quote here. I was doing the lure fishing, which was popular at the time at a nearby mountain stream from my grandma's house. When I was visiting my grandma's house, there was nothing to do but fish, so I was bored. So yeah, basically we've prepared this one. Again with this trope of going out to the country to visit an elderly family member.
Yeah, we just did one.
Yeah, we literally just covered Kune Kune with that.
Yes.
So yeah, just that's my comment on that. It's like I'm getting deja vu already.
Countryside is scary.
Yeah. Oh, it's like it just pulls into my my long-standing statement about the woods. They be scary, yo.
It might also just be a situation where it's like anything that isn't what you're used to is scary. Like for me, living in a massive city would be fucking terrifying.
Yeah,
I'm so not used to that.
Yeah, it's that's fear of the unknown. Because like
yes,
yeah, like that in a sense. And yeah, you're right. Because like I again just went down to Toronto, like downtown Toronto, to visit my sister, and yeah, I look up at the city. I feel like claustrophobic.
Yeah.
It gets very claustrophobic when you're like living in like the countryside, like living out in the sticks, and then you move out, and then you go to the big city, and like it's just cavernous. It's just like canyons of urban architecture.
And then think of that, but also like Japan, their cities where it's like stimulus overload.
Yeah.
As well.
No,
like nothing against that, of course. Like it's awesome how like crazy those places are for like the amount of things you could do, and there's stuff everywhere and stimulus everywhere, but like I don't know if I'd be able to handle it.
Yeah.
Like just from the sounds of it, like going into a pachinko parlor I would die.
Yeah, there's just so much.
I just collapse.
I just assume the fetal position. Become one of the bodego cats.
Yeah, basically.
No, yeah, it's basically the opposite. Like, yeah, like going, like being a farm boy going to the big city, and like I'm definitely a country mouse, as opposed to a city mouse, as the term goes. So,
is that a term?
Yeah, like country. Oh, it stems from like the story Country Mouse and City Mouse, which is like basically like the two characters who live in two very different like situations. They go to visit each other, and it's like a sort of a culture clash or like sort of
What
like
am I supposed to do with this?
yeah, like oh, I'm out of my comfort zone, or I'm out of my depth kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I digress. I'll move on to the next thing I have here. Then suddenly I heard the sound of branches breaking behind me. For some reason, I wasn't worried that it might be a bear or some wild animal. Rather, I wondered if it could be my father or grandmother who had come looking for me, even though there was no way they could have. Then I turned around and saw a person standing there naked. Okay, you know what? Yeah, that would be probably the one of the most intensely creepy encounters to have in the woods.
There's
Like
a naked
I can
person.
handle a bear. I mean, I'd be still terrified of the bear or like a larger like wild animal and stuff like that, or like even a moose. Fuck, man, if a moose, I'd be like, oh fuck. But
Yeah.
they're from nature. Like seeing a naked man or a naked person in the woods smiling at me, that's on a different creepy level because there's like that's not supposed to be there kind of
For sure.
situation. Like we're not used to seeing people, specifically naked people, roaming around in the woods.
No.
Yeah. Even if they don't mean to harm you, like it's just something that's not right.
No, it's very not right.
There's something off about that situation.
Even if it's just a stranger in the woods, it's off. But if it's a
Yeah.
naked stranger staring at you with a creepy smile, no.
Yeah, like
No
again,
thanks.
like walking around, like, and if you're walking on like a trail and stuff, and you see somebody coming up ahead, like yeah, and like passing you, like there's a moment, there's like a split second of like kind of uneasiness, but then it passes because they're just like you. You're just walking. They're just taking a walk, unless they do
Mhm.
something that like rubs you the wrong way, or like you get a bad vibe or something like that. But yeah, in this situation, like if you just see somebody just like show up completely naked, just staring at you, smiling, that shit ain't right.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Also, in regards to this note, the part that I found the most strange about this whole thing is Nair heard the sound of branches and then wasn't worried that it was a bear or wild animal, but wondered if it was their father or grandmother, even though there was no way they could have come to look for him. Why couldn't they have come? Could they have not gotten across the river or something?
or maybe like they didn't know where he was, or like I kind of saw it as like either like because they didn't know where he was, or like because grandma like doesn't go hiking or doesn't go out in the woods kind of thing.
Father?
Yeah, maybe the father, but again, like again, that's why I just chalked it up to like maybe they just didn't know where he was kind of situation.
It was just weird. That's like I wondered if it could be them, even though they couldn't have been here. Like,
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
don't know. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's almost like he went out fishing when they went into town and they were going to be back. They were going to be out for 3 hours or something.
Yeah.
That would make more sense. But like, there's a lot of precedent for them to go looking for him.
Yeah, or like how long? Maybe like oh, like they weren't expecting like it wouldn't have been them because they weren't expecting me to be back for a while. Like
Oh yeah, maybe that. He
yeah.
hasn't been out there for so long that they would have gone looking for him.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a bit more sense.
So that's all you had for encounters on the other side, the chapter 2.
Yes.
Then I suppose we'll move on to chapter 3. And we're actually going to get to that in my first comment. Okay, damn it, you beat me to it.
God damn.
I
Okay,
realized-
erase that.
No, it's fine. Like that's the word, like the sound they make is ning. So like NNNGH as it's pronounced, or like in some cases they keep saying like NN dash NN dash NN dash. So it's like ning, 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 ning. So yeah, I literally like it's like so they are the knights that say ning.
Yes. Exactly.
But yeah, so here's the quote for the actual comment I he started walking and scurrying around me, kept saying ning ning, and he lifted the rock up. I thought he was looking under it for the lure, so I said with a small laugh, no, it can't be there. He said ning 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 ning, smiled and threw the rock at me. Yep, there it is. There's the threat level.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like these things, like, there's nothing bad about Agaribito. They just kind of like pop up and just like smile at you while they stand there. Nope, there it goes. They're throwing rocks.
It's not a buddy horror.
Yeah, or unless.
It's technically a forced buddy horror.
Yeah, exactly because like
a non-consensual but consensual buddy horror.
Yeah, also because like my other comment here is like I thought these guys were supposed to be like non-violent. Like it says earlier, like they're like they're not violent because like the big city, because like unlike the city folk, because of like whatnot, but or is it just like because like they calmly like are they're very calm when they like when they go to get the rock to try and attack and kill you, like they never like actually show an expression of hate or anger. They're always like kind of have this like kind of off-putting placid smile while they're trying to kill you. Maybe that's what it meant by like them being like calm and stuff like that. Or and not maybe it's not killing them again, like you said, like maybe it's like that rock was thrown to like as a distraction, or maybe this is how they knock people out or give them a caveman lobotomy. like basically the like knock the sense out of their heads, out of their victims' heads, so that they become one of them.
Yes, but knowing what we know from reading the whole story, they do it through a magical shadow creature.
Yeah, and I've got notes on that part.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I'll get there. That's 2 chapters away.
Hmm.
So the next thing I have for this chapter is this quote here. I told my grandma what happened. She told me, "Boy, that's Agaribito." Because like she's probably using the more like country-esque like tones of Japanese, which I'll get to in a second in my notes here. But like that kind of
saw it as like boy, like dad of war.
It could be that, yeah. Like a boy. Like suddenly his grandma is Kratos,
jacked as fuck.
Yeah, boy, dad of boy. But honestly, like, this kind of brought to mind, like, because it's like this kind of country dialect that was put in the story here. It reminds me of a manga I've been reading that like recently came out in the last couple of years called The Summer manga Nebraska.
I'm curious which it is, honestly.
I think it's manga probably. But I do manga because I'm a Westerner.
Fair enough.
But I've been reading it. It's called The Summer Hikaru Died, and it's about it's set in like a rural Japanese town, like in the country, and they even use, so for the translation, because the Japanese that's being translated has a sort of informal drawl of Japanese that you find out in the countryside versus the metropolitan Japanese that you see in like Tokyo and like in bigger cities. When they translate it to English, they actually add the drawl to the English dialect. So it's just like, I reckon we got to do something about. I reckon we need to go get some watermelon, boy. like it's like literally like that kind of tone. I was like, wow, like a certain like this is just being told by Adam from RPX because he's got like such a thick Kentucky accent.
Nice.
It actually kind of brought me back. It's like this is like feels like just like the Japanese version of Kentucky. But yeah, so anyway, back to the story here. So like, yeah, boy, that's Agaribito. People around here call them Agari-san, but they're not dangerous. There are many people in the village who think they are human beings, but like you, I saw Agari-san once when I was young. So at the point
are dangerous.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like some people around town like they're not dangerous, and people think they're just humans. I was like, well, they just tried to attack and kill / assimilate your grandson. So
plus she has first-hand experience.
Yeah,
watching them being dangerous by stealing people.
Yeah, exactly.
So also, I'm bullshit on grandma.
I'm calling bullshit on grandma for like. She even tells like run if you see one. It's like, But yeah. So also interesting that like this is sort of like a hive mind sort of situation that these Agaribito have. Like, so the Agaribito
sure about that?
Kind of, because and that it harkens back to what we were talking about earlier about like how like their eyes are are glazed over and like they don't seem like they don't have a hegemony in their eyes. Like so they don't have like they're being controlled almost, it seems. And so like Agaribito is considered like the god in some of the villages. Like basically it's the influencing power that on these humans that are its puppets. And like drones. So like basically it's like a group possession sort of situation. And like that's what the Agari-san are. So like Agaribito is the source and Agari-san are the drones.
Essentially SCP something and then SCP-1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
so, and honestly, like as I was like getting this part in the story, I was like, I could definitely see this being a fun situation in a game scenario. Like again, investigators looking in like maybe like some search and rescue agents like looking for like a missing person or a missing kid in the woods in some rural part of Japan, and then they start coming across these naked people, and then like basically they then see the black mass that we learn about later on in one of the other chapters. And like it's basically like kind of a cultish activity or some kind of like enthrallment sort of situation by some elder god.
Can I possibly put a big hole in your hive mind theory?
Go for it.
They have speech.
Kind of. They got like maybe that's how
They
they
specifically have a language. It says in the story that their language is that. So they communicate with each other with that language. And when Nair sees the first one, he calls out to the other ones.
Okay, so like
He
maybe
wouldn't
it's
have to do that if it was a hive mind.
well, so maybe not like a direct hive, like not like a potent or direct hive mind, but maybe like an indirect one where like they are connected, but like they're being controlled by like a similar power, but they still they still have to communicate, kind of thing.
They all have orders
Yeah.
from their shadow god to do certain things.
Yeah.
But they are all individuals.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's basically more of like a cult that has been influenced heavily by their eldritch horror.
Yes.
Yeah. And in which case, it seems like this eldritch horror is basically deep nature. Nature, as we call
Deep nature, yeah.
deep nature. That's nature right there, man. Okay,
That's pretty neat.
If I run this, if I do like run a scenario based on this, I need to put like the characters are being helped by like a like a ranger, like a forest ranger, who's just that guy.
Enthusiastic about nature.
Yeah,
He loves nature.
Yeah, and then it turns out like he's actually a double agent. Like he's actually the guy that's like helping the cult like stay out there and like stay hidden.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can you have a partner that's a park ranger that's just completely depressed about being a park ranger and being away from everyone all the time?
Yes, sir.
Do you know who I'm referring to?
No, I don't. Sorry.
He's the park ranger from the Red Green Show.
Oh my god, I don't remember the park ranger in there.
He literally stays, like, you know, the park ranger towers. He just lives in that tower all day, every day, and never leaves. And Red Green like occasionally comes by to talk to him, and every time Red Green says he has to leave, he's like, "Oh no, one day, it's so lonely up here. I never get to see anyone." He's like insane.
Oh, that's awesome. I need to rewatch Red Green.
Yes, it is mandatory Canadian television watching.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, this is the part I have with it. It's like, yeah, Grandma, your grandson was just like attacked by these things, so they are dangerous.
Yes, it might mean danger as in causing bodily harm, that kind of danger. But I would say kidnapping is still danger.
Yeah, no, that's still like stranger danger.
Yeah,
the strangest dangerous.
It really is.
But that's all I got for chapter 3. So I suppose, Gamer, do you have anything?
Chapter
Yeah, chapter the knights that say
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of, when I read this, when I prepared myself, the person let out a strange voice that I didn't understand. Something like, Murloc Rush, run! And then literally the next sentence, it says, I could hear the same voices from not a single, but many people. So then I'm like, wow. So I was right. It was a Murloc Rush.
Oh my god, yeah, they're just human. They're just like, oh my god, they're humans that have suddenly had their minds swapped with Murlocs.
Indeed, pretty accurate actually.
Yeah. Okay, so I gotta look up, see, because like I was like, what's Namazu? What is Namazu a god of in Japan? Namazu is a catfish god in Japan. It's a giant catfish believed to live under Japan and cause earthquakes.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's it. So unfortunately it wouldn't work, but like I was like trying to look up like that was the only fish god spirit thing that I know in Japan. Strangely enough. Oh god, or even better yet. So there's actually like so this creature, this Agaribito shadow thing has a cousin down in Antarctica known as the Ningen. Because
Okay.
it's a large, basically it's a giant murloc. It's a giant it's a giant albino murloc. It's like this giant albino like fish whale human thing. Or like it's like a whale with human arms.
Murlocs are basically deep ones, but cute, right?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, actually they were basically the deep one equivalent in World of Warcraft because they were created by an elder horror. So yeah.
Were they actually?
Yeah, they were created by I think either Yogg-Saron or actually like Cthulhu.
Okay, that's straight up then.
Or Chthon or whatever. Yeah.
Because all I remember is just getting off the tutorial island in WoW, getting to like that first next area where there's like a beach, and like you fight one Murloc, he goes,
yeah, in West,
and then there's a million of them, and then you die.
Horde or Alliance? What were you playing?
I think at that time it was Alliance.
Yeah, so that would have been Westfall, like because that Westfall's the one with the coastline where they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as I passed that borderline between the tutorial and the new zone,
yeah, you got attacked by Murlocs. You got wrecked by these naked fishmen.
They are naked too. Are they naked?
Yeah.
They're probably naked. Yeah. Connective tissue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know about that.
I mean, if we want to go full on connective tissue time from earlier, we were talking about like how like like seeing a naked man in the woods is like the worst case scenario kind of thing. We literally had that happen a few years back in this in our subdivision.
Oh yeah, there was a naked guy running around.
Yeah, like
took a picture of his ass and put it on the internet.
Yeah, like he's just like somebody walking the wood trails around our neighborhood. Apparently like spotted some naked guy running down it and took a photo and posted it on Facebook, warning or kind of like alerting people like there's some naked guy in the woods running around.
Yep.
Again, he wasn't trying to hurt anybody. He was just running around, and I think he was like confused, like possibly had some issue or he was confused, but
or he was on drugs or something. Who knows?
Yeah. But yeah, there's a connective tissue, but it's also connective tissues to like a little bit more accurate connective tissue time to Murlocs.
Are you sure about that?
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So continue. Sorry.
Yes. Was it my turn?
Yeah, it's still your turn on chapter 3.
Oh, I'm done.
Okay. All right, and on to chapter 4. Grandma's past. Sorry, it's like Grandma's past. Sorry, sorry, it's not Grandma's past. It's the Grandma's past.
She's the only grandma.
Yeah, the grandma.
The one true grandma.
Yeah.
Grandma Prime.
Nice. So this is my quote here and then comment. A search party was formed and Grandma and some men went into the forest to look for them. It was dark and scary, and there were bears and other things. But Grandma was hungry, and she couldn't help it. So she deliberately got separated from the search party and went digging for jinenjo, a kind of potato that's usually from mountains. Why did they take... Yeah.
That's Greninja, sorry.
Yeah, that's Greninja. So, like, my point here, though, is why did they bring a child out into the woods to search for more missing children?
Didn't think of that.
Yeah, because she was like, I mean, I don't think maybe she wasn't like a child, but she was young enough that she's a grandma in the present day. Probably like this story probably came out in like the early 2000s or something like that. So like, she probably would have been like a teen at the latest or at the oldest.
Maybe they brought her as a consultant.
Maybe like
basically being like, if you were out here, where would you go first?
See, I also thought of that, like, but like in the way of like maybe they brought her out here, like a child out here, because like maybe the kids who escaped would be more willing to approach a child than adults looking for them.
Oh, that too, yeah.
But then she purposely separates herself from. Now they have another missing child in the woods.
Yeah. Shit
because
sucks.
because grandma was hungry and wanted to go find some wild potatoes to eat. Also, I learned a new thing about Japan. They have mountain potatoes called jinenjo, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's also interesting. It's also, I mean, it makes sense, but it's also like interesting because like during World War II, like Japan also had like the same kind of situation of like get the kids and like the young people and whatnot like that can't like help like with the war effort, get them out of the big cities where like the bombers are going to be hitting. Like it's very similar because that happened across the world. Like especially we in the West, like we hear about it in England specifically. Like during the Blitz, like they the parents and so that shipped all their kids out into the countryside to live in like rural locations to avoid being killed by bombing raids in London and such. So it makes sense. Like during wartime, like they'd be shipping children out into the countryside anywhere, even and especially in Japan, because they were worried about like the Allied powers like dropping bombs in urban centers. So, but yeah, back to the point of the story. Yeah, so like that's my comment here is just like, why did they bring this kid out here? Now they've gotten another missing kid because, like, can you imagine like what they're thinking? Like, I was like, all right, grandma son, we're like grandma son.
Grandma son.
Like just like you know what I mean, like just like all right, like I don't because we don't have her name, but like
I know.
I guess Koga because I think that's her
last name. Yes,
her last name is like all right, Koga-chan. I think Chan is the female honorific. Yeah,
whatever
right,
we choose, it will be the wrong one.
Yes,
don't worry.
All right, Koga-chan. Where Koga-chan? Fuck, another one. Guys, we lost another one. What?
We only brought one. Yes.
Oh.
Nani?
Yes.
Which I still think is the most awesome way to say what in any language.
Nani? Yeah, no, 100%. But yeah, so that's what I got for Grandma's Past is they brought a child out to search for children and then they lost that child.
Oops.
So what do you got for the Grandma's Past chapter?
Nothing. Oh wait, no, I got one. Basically it's nothing to do directly with the story, I guess, but just reading her account of what happened and talking about the way it was during wartime and stuff like that in her like rural town. I wonder if the info from this chapter came from a real grandma.
It's
like
really possible.
The writers sat down with their own grandmother and asked what it was like back then, at least for the conditions and expectations versus reality of that kind of situation, because it seems pretty legit.
I mean, hell, it could have also even been like a real, like this story could have been like maybe not like exactly like accurate, but this could have even been like a story that the grandma told Nair, and he decided to kind of elaborate or extrapolate on it for the story. Like maybe he did, like maybe there were some like missing kids that they searched for, and she like she thought she saw like the kids being taken by some other adults or something like that.
Yeah.
Because again, like that kind of stuff might have happened back then. So yeah. And then like Nair just extrapolated on it being the Agaribito or like the thing, because we'll get into like some of the speculation after the story, after we've actually like covered the notes on the story, that this website kind of suggests or speculates as to like what inspired the Agaribito legend or like the idea of it. So, but yeah, so that's all you got for chapter 4.
Yes.
All right, on to chapter 5. There was a group of ... So my quote here is, after a while, the dark mass began to move and get up. The mass was shaped like a person, but in an unusual way. The black mass's upper body was shaped like like the hunchback of Notre Dame, with a long neck and long arms and legs. It moved like a puppet with no feet on the ground. And it made her feel so scared and frightened that she struggled to hold back her tears. Yeah, you know what? I would have noped the fuck out of there so hard.
Yeah, same.
Like, I'm out here. Like honestly, she probably should have gone and told the search party about this beforehand. Like I know, like, hindsight's 2020. Like, maybe she shouldn't have followed this group of people that were taking the kids out into the wood, deeper into the woods. Maybe she should have just, like, all right, I've seen this group. They're taking the kids out deeper into the woods. Rather than follow them, I bet she's like she's wishing at that moment, like, I should have just gone and find the search party and, like, told them where they were. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I basically got for the last chapter of the story. So, Gamer, what do you got?
I don't really have anything further to say on that.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Well, then I guess we'll move on to the. So that's the end of the actual, like, story that is the actual creepypasta or urban legend of Agaribito. But the website didn't end. The website keeps going with more, like, stuff about Agaribito and, like, the actual, like, stuff around the urban legend and such. So I've got a couple of quotes from some of that stuff and some comments on it. So the next section is called "State of Transition from Human to Beyond." Agaribito is a group of people transitioning from human to something beyond. This transition is said to be triggered when they are exposed to nature, like deep mountains that have, it says that has not been untouched by humans, but it should be that have not been untouched by humans. Just a little grammar inquisition there. So at this point I was like, wait, because, like, it says, it triggered when they are exposed to nature like deep mountains that have not been untouched by humans.
Oh, you're double negatives.
A double negative. Yeah, it shouldn't be like, so it shouldn't have been like deep mountains that have not been touched by humans.
Or have been untouched.
Yeah, exactly. Also, from the story by Grandma, it definitely seems like there is, in fact, a supernatural origin for these people, like, and their condition. Not simply just going out into the deep mountains, wilderness, and going feral. Like, there is a ritual, apparently, involved.
Yeah, but some people believe that it's just people reconnecting too much with nature.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like, the story did again bring to mind the vibes of The Summer Hikaru Died, the manga, and soon to be anime. Actually, it's coming. They're adapting it to an anime. Where, again, the main character's friend goes up into the mountains for some, like, family reason, and then, like, goes missing up in the mountains for like a month, and then comes back seemingly fine, but then the main character believes that their best friend is no longer their best friend, or it's something masquerading as their best friend. Like, he came back wrong from the mountains.
Yes.
And also, like, the rural setting of, like, the rural town and the countryside kind of town and the supernatural vibes of, like, the black mass in Agaribito, and, like, what is up with Hikaru and what's going on within the town is also kind of giving me the same kind of vibes. And so it's like, I'm sure, like, the Summer Hikaru Died, honestly, the manga itself gives me very much, like, creepy, like, Japanese creepypasta urban legend vibes. Like, it's very much a slice of life horror story that feels like a creepypasta. At some point I'd actually love to cover it for an episode, because it is so, like, to me it oozes like Japanese creepypasta vibes, while still being also, like, kind of a slice of life horror. Like, it's wholesome, like, buddy horror.
Yeah.
So
isn't the whole, like, the whole premise is said straight up, though. So, like,
yeah, like, from page one, literally page one, the character addresses, like, what's up with Hikaru. So, like, I'm not even spoiling it. Like, literally, that's page one is like, you're not Hikaru anymore, are you? And then, like, you start seeing what it is.
Yeah.
So,
and slowly finding out through the course of the manga, like, what it actually is.
Yeah, because, like, it decides it doesn't want to kill the main character, but because it's still, it strangely enough still, like, has, like, lingering feelings for the main character, and so they together try to like keep him under wraps, also trying to figure out the mystery of, like, what exactly is Hikaru now, and, like, that kind of stuff. And meanwhile, horror shit is happening around town. So,
yeah, of course.
But that's not the story, although it might have, the story might have been an inspiration to Hikaru, but that's speculation on my part. So back to the actual, like, notes and stuff I have. So there's another couple of them, like, like the whole like taking off the clothes to be naked, weird singing voices that it talks about, the vacant face with no feelings. Those are all sections that I don't really have any notes for. But the next thing I had notes for was a section called converting human into the other side. So it says, in the story on 2chan, Agaribito is seen describing children who have wandered into the mountains, undressing and performing a kind of ritual to become one of them. So again, like it's seemingly less like an anomaly or phenomenon that overtakes a person psychologically, and more like a cult that's in the woods.
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually, it kind of brings to mind, for game fodder wise, it could almost be like a Japanese version of the ghouls from the Cthulhu mythos. Because in the mythos, in Lovecraft's mythos, ghouls are created from performing ritualistic cannibalism. Like there's a
Wendigos.
kind of, yeah, it kind of borrows from that as well, or like some of like those ideas. But it's also like a bit of that and a bit of like actual like Middle Eastern mythology on ghouls, because that's where ghouls stem from, is the Middle East. Yeah, so it's sort of like that. It could be like something like that, like, or again, maybe it's just some like woods cult that like is worshiping like Shub-Niggurath, the forest, for all intents and purposes, the nature god in the mythos, because she is basically like, she is life incarnate, like the origin of all life in the universe, and basically a kind of attributed to being like Mother Earth and like forests and nature and stuff like that. Yeah, so it just could be like a cult to her, or like some other like dark thing that's in the woods that like basically enthralls its cult members and requires them to basically just shed their humanity by like shedding their clothes and all that stuff, and just being drones out in the woods to assimilate more people for dark purposes. This is how I kind of would like, maybe like I could even do like a whole like episode on just like building an idea for this, but that's how it kind of like where I'd probably get my start, is like for like a game idea for this, is like an investigation, like search and rescue kind of investigation that like discovers this secret cult to some shadow forest god.
For sure.
Yeah. And then there's a section that's on what could be the origin of Agaribito, and it postulates two specific ideas, or two specific groups or things in Japan that like that could have inspired Agaribito. So there is a group that existed in Japan called the Sanka. They were wanderers in the former Japanese mountains, and up until around like 1960s, they just wandered around the mountains of Japan and like hid and like kind of like lived from stream to stream, living in like temporary huts. And they had no certificate of residence. They had no nationality. They didn't identify themselves as being nationals, or like being a part of Japan. And it wasn't until like basically between sometime in like sometime basically up until like the 80s, that's when like their population started kind of going away, because they started like integrating into villages and becoming Japanese citizens. But nowadays, there's actually on the same kind of level as Agaribito, there are urban legends that there are still people, like there are still the Sanka people out there, but they're a lot more strict about maintaining their secrecy, and like traitors are violently dealt with and such.
Yes.
So basically, like maybe the Sanka have now, like maybe that's what kind of what inspired, like sightings of the Sanka nowadays might have inspired the idea of the Agaribito. Or even what happened, like maybe that's what Grandma saw. If Grandma's story was actually a story that was told to Nair by his grandma in real life, maybe maybe like the Sanka people helped those kids escape. And then the other one is the sad tradition of abandoning your child or elderly in Japan in the mountains. Kuchibarashi. So in times of great strife, and like times of famine in the past in Japanese history, it wasn't uncommon for families to abandon a child or or an elderly member of the family because they couldn't take care of them or they couldn't raise the child. So they just abandon them in the mountains and leave them to either to likely die, but like maybe survive out there. And the families would justify it like because like, oh, like they over the course of like this happening, people had justified it like, oh, like the mountain gods have blessed this child or this older member of the family to be one of the mountain folk.
Yeah.
And they're actually the name for these people gradually became called the Tatarabito, which is very similar to Agaribito. So perhaps that's another thing that happened. Maybe that's like where the original Agaribito stemmed from, was like this tradition of abandoning a very young member of the family or a very old member of the family into the mountains, and instead of dying, they just went feral.
Yeah, for sure.
So on my my notes on this, on to like whichever one this might have inspired, or if there's maybe others even. Honestly, either one is interesting if they developed into the modern era. Hell, either of these ideas could have inspired Nair or like the actual author of these postings for the creation of the story about Agaribito. Like this could be sort of like a melting pot of ideas that were and real life, like urban legends or like real life historical of things that happened in Japan that could have inspired this. But yeah. And then there's one last like section that's called like "Do not let yourself too much refreshed in mountains." Basically, like it just kind of goes on with like little known fact. Like we perceive Japan as being a very modern like place, but really like 2/3 of the landmass in Japan is forests and mountains. So there could be like there could be deep mysteries within those woods and in that deep nature. That we just haven't seen yet, or like there could just be things that they haven't like traversed, because Japan also has a very deep-seated and deep-rooted respect for nature. So there's a very good possibility that there are just like wildernesses that have been untouched by nature, or like there could be things or people living out there and just we'd never know, or people would just never know unless they decided to go into those woods.
For sure.
And heck, out of this, off of this away from this website, and it's just something I've learned about recently. Again, there are like strange business dealings in Japan I've heard about, where like if you've brought like shame to your family, or you need to get away and you need to like get rid of your old past, you need to get away from your past or your past life. There are people that will like basically traffic you away and like take you somewhere else in Japan to start a new life. So like that could be something that another thing that might have like maybe inspired this is like something like people want, like we were talking about earlier about like how nowadays people want to like get away from the big cities and seek a simpler life. That could be a part of that as well. Like somebody wanted to get away from like the big city, they just hired somebody to like take them out into the woods and just left them. Sort of like a modern version of that unfortunate tradition that we mentioned earlier. But like in more so like people just like openly go like volunteering to go like become one with nature and never be found again.
Just starting over a new life somewhere else normally.
Yeah. Some people just went like just decided to double down or triple down on that sentiment.
It's just like, you know what? Fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah, fuck modern. What is it? The stupid meme recently is like abandon modernity, embrace tradition, like embrace simplicity, just embrace feralness.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. That's what the story is, anyway.
Yeah, basically. Do you have anything else to comment about, like around like the origin, the possible origins, or like what the story, what the website kind of expands on?
Not really. You basically covered everything.
Okay.
So yeah.
Then I suppose we'll move on to final thoughts. So honestly, I really love the concept and the setup of this story of like the creepypasta and the urban legend. The story itself is fine, though from the version that we read, it's a little off. Again, I couldn't get over the ending for Grandma's story specifically. I think like needs a little bit of a retouching, or like needs to get a little bit of work. Just like give us a little bit more to like properly end it. But again, that could just be like the translation. Maybe it's fine in the true Japanese translation because some things do get lost in translation. But because of like just how cool the concept is and the idea of and like sort of the dark idea of and the theme of like making that idea of like leaving the big city and going out into the woods, like putting that to the extreme and making that scary, like and even like the idea of like encountering somebody like wild naked people in the woods. I'm willing to like partially recommend it still because it's definitely a cool and creepy theme. And there's definitely some room here for like to play with for either another story or stories about encounters with this thing or even a game scenario to play with. So yeah, I will still partially recommend Agaribito just on the merits of its concept and like the story was fine. It's just it could use some work. But Gamer, your verdict.
It's yours. It's an interesting idea. Nothing overtly hostile, although they're like subtly hostile with the stealing and all that. But that's honestly kind of a nice change because most of the creepypastas we read is like there's a creepy monster and it'll kill you. Like that's the TLDR of it. But
yeah,
this one's different, which is refreshing. Because it's basically akin to a court forcibly getting you to join their mind control-y ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am curious of the thought process of them. Like we kind of talked about before, if it is truly they have independent thought, but they're all just heavily influenced by this supernatural entity. I don't know. Because the first one does signal the others, so it's not pure hive mind, like I mentioned.
It's almost like a pack mind, maybe even.
Kind of, yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like I've seen videos of kittens or puppies, like litters of kittens or puppies that are out in the wild, like they've been like living on their own for a few weeks, and the pack will send one kitten or puppy out onto the road if they hear like a car or somebody walking by to gauge the threat level. Like
wow.
can like to see if they can like see if they like, and if the person like if the other kittens see that the other kitten or the puppy are not being hurt or harmed or anything, they all just come out and like glomp the passerby who's like attracted to that first animal.
Yeah,
it's not like really like a threat or anything. It's just like they basically like it's sort of a survival tactic of like, all right, we'll send one out first, like scout ahead, and then like when if this might be like salvation, if like maybe we'll all come out.
mm-hmm. Yeah. And if they're hurting that little kitten, then all the kittens come out and attack though.
Yeah.
Instead of just getting pets.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, what I was gonna say is, isn't there like I saw a YouTube video about this a while ago. Isn't there like an island of cats where there's just like a million cats on this little island, like way more cats than there are people?
I think it's called like Neko Island or like Cat Island, like literally.
Yeah.
Hang on, Cat Island in Japan. No, I'm not. It's not even like named Nico. It's known as Cat Island, but it's called Ao Island. Ao, literally Ao Island.
Yeah, and it's like they brought in cats to like fight a rat problem, and then now there's just a million cats there.
Yeah, also known as
which is
Aoshima.
a better option, honestly.
Yeah, also known as Aoshima.
Okay.
Yeah, they also know Cat Island, known for its large number of felines, and small number of people.
Yeah. Honestly, if I'm gonna retire somewhere, there we go.
Yeah. Anyway, that's back to the story at hand.
Yeah. Right, I'm doing final thoughts. So the story did leave me wanting to know more about like what this extraplanar entity is, and like because it's converting people, but like where's it from? What's the purpose of it doing this, etc. But I'm also okay not knowing more.
Yeah.
To kind of leave it to more of the fear of the unknown, which is something honestly, we keep talking about in this.
It's a very prevalent like situation in this one because like there's fear of the unknown because we don't know, like because the deep nature is unknown.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, overall I still recommend it. There are translation issues like we talked about, but I still enjoyed the read, and it's a creepy concept that is in a different sort of light than most other ones, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I'd almost like say like this is, aside from grandma's like telling of like showing like the source of what's the weirdness is about these people, this is almost like a street level, like grounded in like humanity sort of like horror.
Yeah.
Because like they are just kind of like abnormal people. They're not really, there's nothing like bombastic, like flamboyantly like supernatural or like over the top about them. They're just naked people in the woods that act very abnormally. And that's all we see, because that's all we're seeing on the surface level. Because anybody who's like actually taken by them and like taken deeper into the woods basically just fill in their ranks. So, and don't tell the tale. So, yeah. So I guess a partial recommendation and a positive recommendation for Agaribito. Definitely worth checking out. Like I definitely suggest anybody who's like interested in like creepy urban legends, like Japanese urban legends, especially like about urban legends about the woods. Agaribito will likely be up your alley. But yeah, that'll do it for this week's episode. So if you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below as this gets posted. Some of us are on Blue Sky. Mikey is at the East Ends for Evil, and I'm at Review Cultist. You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com, where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, SCPs, spooky things. You creep it, we'll peep it. Yeah! And if you'd like to help support our show financially, you can go to Patreon. We have special episodes, early access, extra content. To all our patrons helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay. And as always, we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely. Because without your listenership, it'd be like screaming into the void. And without your authorship and translations and writings and postings and people translating the stories from a different language to another language, we really wouldn't have much of a show because we'd have nothing to talk about. So thank you. Now's a good time to also bring up that we are a part of a podcast network, Crit in the Night, an actual play and creepypasta podcast network. We're there alongside our sister podcast, One Less Die, and our cousin podcast, The Role Playing Exchange, for things that go crit in the night. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis for the end of Anime 2024. Sleep well and oyasumi.
Nani?